Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Tales-心灵鸡汤, your go-to channel for fun English learning and heartwarming stories that actually stick with you. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story that'll teach you new words, help you speak more naturally, and maybe even change the way you think about success. Today, we're diving into a story that's super relatable, like the kind of story that makes you go, wait, that's totally me. It's all about finding your own strengths, putting in the work, and realizing that you don't have to be good at everything to be amazing. And yeah, along the way, we'll sneak in some new English words and process no boring drills, I promise. Just natural, everyday language you can start using tomorrow. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's jump, and trust me, you don't want to miss the end, because the lessons here are game changers, especially if you've ever felt like you're not good enough at something. First off, let's talk about why this story matters. We live in a world that's constantly telling us we need to be perfect, good at math, good at sports, good at art, good at socializing, the list goes on. I remember when I was a kid, I used to compare myself to my best friend all the time. She was amazing at playing the piano, and I could barely play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star without messing up. I felt like a failure until my mom sat me down and said something that stuck. Everyone has their own superpower. Yours just looks different from hers. That's exactly what today's story is about, finding your superpower, nurturing it, and understanding that dedication beats talent every single time. Well, okay, talent helps, but dedication is what makes it count. Let me set the scene for you. Picture a small town, like the kind of town where everyone knows your name, where the air smells like freshly baked bread from the corner bakery, and where kids spend their afternoons riding bikes or playing in the park instead of glued to screens. It's the kind of place where time moves a little slower, and people actually take the time to talk to each other. In the quietest corner of this town, there's a little house with a white picket fence and a backyard full of apple trees. That's where the Carter family lives, Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, and their 12-year-old son, David. David is your typical sixth-grader, energetic, curious, and always on the go. If he's not in school, you can bet he's outside, running around, and most of the time he's playing soccer. Soccer isn't just a hobby for David. It's his whole world. He eats, sleeps, and breathes soccer. Every single afternoon, right after school, he grabs his old, worn-out soccer ball, the one with the scuff marks on the side that he refuses to replace, and heads to the public field a few blocks from his house. That field is his happy Placino math homework. No tests, no pressure. Just him, the ball, and the grass under his feet. I want you to really imagine David out there on that field. He's not the tallest kid or the fastest, but he's got something special heart. He practices dribbling for hours, kicking the ball against the goalpost until his legs ache, and even practices penalty kicks when the sun is setting and the field is almost empty. His neighbors often see him out there, and they'll yell, "Great shot, David," or "Keep it up, kid." And David always smiles and waves because he loves every second of it. Soccer makes him feel alive, makes him feel like he can do anything. But here's the thing. David isn't good at everything. In fact, there's one subject that makes him want to hide under his bed every time he opens his textbook: math. Now, I know a lot of you can relate to that. Math can be tricky, right? It's full of numbers, formulas, and rules that seem to change every time you turn a page. For David, math feels like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. No matter how hard he tries, he just can't seem to get it right. He studies the night before tests. He asks his teacher for help. He even watches math videos online, but nothing clicks. And that's okay until he starts comparing himself to his best friend, Matt. Matt lives next door to David. They've been best friends since they were 5 years old. They ride bikes together, play video games together, and even share a secret fort in the woods behind their houses. But when it comes to math, Matt is a genius. Like the kind of kid who finishes his math homework in 10 minutes and gets every answer right. He doesn't even have to study that hard. Math just comes naturally to him. David sees Matt getting A's on every math test, while he's lucky to get a C. And that's when the self-doubt starts to creep in. One afternoon, David came home from school, threw his backpack on the floor, and slumped onto the couch like he'd just run a marathon. He grabbed his math textbook, flipped it open to the chapter they were studying, stared at the page for a minute, and then let out a big sigh. His face was all frowned up, like he'd just eaten a lemon. He leaned back into the soft couch cushions, closed his eyes and thought, "Why can't I be good at math like Matt? What's wrong with me?" Now, Mr. Carter David's dad had just come in from the backyard, where he'd been watering his tomato plants. He noticed David's unusual behavior right away. Normally, David would be out the door with his soccer ball within 5 minutes of getting home, but today he was just sitting there, looking sad and confused. Mr. Carter is a quiet guy, doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, he says things that make you think. He walked over to the couch, sat down next to David, and put his arm around his son's shoulders. "Hey, buddy," he said, in that calm, gentle voice that always made David feel better. "You look like you've got a lot on your mind. Want to talk about it?" David opened his eyes, looked up at his dad, and the words just poured out. "I got a bad grade on my math test today," he said, his voice cracking a little. "But that's not even the worst part. Matt got in again. No matter how hard I try, I can't keep up with him. I'm so stupid, Dad. Why can't I be good at math like he is?" Mr. Carter didn't say anything right away. He just hugged David tight and then stood up. "Let me get you a glass of water," he said. "Sometimes when we're upset, a little water can calm us down so we can think clearly." David nodded, and Mr. Carter went to the kitchen. When he came back, David took a sip of water, and he felt a little better, like the tight feeling in his chest was starting to loosen up. "Come on," Mr. Carter said, holding out his hand. "Let's go outside. I want to show you something in the backyard." David hesitated for a second, but he trusted his dad, so he took his hand and followed him out the back door. The Carter family's backyard is a little slice of paradise. There are apple trees that provide shade on hot summer days, a small vegetable garden where Mr. Carter grows tomatoes and carrots, and a little bench where the family sits and watches the sunset. The air smells like fresh grass and blooming flowers, and you can hear birds chirping in the trees. It's the kind of place where you can forget all your worries at least for a little while. Mr. Carter sat down on the bench, and David sat next to him. He looked at his dad, waiting for him to speak. "David," Mr. Carter said, turning to face his son, "what you're feeling right now is totally normal. Everyone compares themselves to others at some point, even adults. I used to compare myself to my brother, who was always better at sports than me. But over time, I learned 3 important lessons that changed the way I see myself, and lessons that I want to teach you today. These lessons will help you not just with math, but with everything in life as you grow up." David's eyes lit up. He loved when his dad shared stories and lessons. They always made sense, even when he didn't fully understand them at first. "What are the lessons, Dad?" he asked, leaning in a little closer. "You'll learn them one by one," Mr. Carter said, smiling. "Each lesson comes with a challenge. Are you ready?" "Yes," David said, nodding eagerly. He was already forgetting about his math test that was too excited to find out what his dad had in store for him. "Good," Mr. Carter said. "For the first lesson, I want you to invite Matt to play soccer with you tomorrow afternoon. Not just a casual game, really play, like you do every day. Show him how you play, and pay attention to how he does. That's your first challenge." David frowned a little. "Play soccer with Matt? But Dad, Matt doesn't like soccer. He's never played before. He'd probably be terrible at it." Mr. Carter chuckled. "That's exactly the point, buddy. Just trust me. Invite him, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night." David didn't fully understand, but he agreed. "Okay, Dad, I'll invite him tomorrow." That night, David thought about his dad's challenge. He wondered why his dad wanted him to play soccer with Matt. What could that possibly teach him about math? He tossed and turned in bed for a little while, but eventually he fell asleep, dreaming about scoring goals and beating Matt in a soccer game, even though he knew Matt would be bad at it. The next morning, the sun was shining, and the sky was a bright blue, perfect soccer weather. David woke up feeling excited, and he got ready for school faster than usual. He even packed an extra snack in his backpack, just in case Matt said yes to playing soccer. When he got to school, he saw Matt standing by the front door, talking to some friends. David walked over, took a deep breath, and asked, "Hey Matt, do you want to play soccer with me after school? We're going to the public field just like always. It'll be fun." Matt looked surprised. "Soccer? David, I don't know how to play. I've never even kicked a soccer ball before." "That's okay," David said, grinning. "I'll teach you. It's easy, I promise. And even if you're bad at it, we'll still have fun. Please. Matt thought about it for a minute. He could tell David really wanted him to come, and he didn't want to let his best friend down. Okay, he said. I'll come, but if I'm terrible, don't laugh at me. I won't laugh, I swear, David said, doing a little happy dance. See you after school. The rest of the school day dragged on for David. He kept checking the clock, waiting for the bell to ring so he could go play soccer with Matt. When the final bell finally rang, he grabbed his backpack and ran out of the classroom, nearly tripping over his own feet. Matt was waiting for him by the front door, looking a little nervous. Ready? David asked, grinning. As ready as I'll ever be, Matt said, laughing. They walked to the public field together, chatting about their day at school. When they got there were a few other kids from their neighborhood already playing. David introduced Matt to everyone, and then he grabbed his soccer ball. Okay, let's start with the basics, he said. First, how to kick the ball. You want to use the inside of your foot, not your toe. Like this. David demonstrated, kicking the ball gently to Matt. Matt tried to kick the ball, but he missed and tripped over his own feet. Everyone laughed, but David quickly said, It's okay, Matt. Everyone messes up at first. Try again. Matt got up, brushed off his pants, and tried again. This time he kicked the ball, but it went flying off to the side, way away from the other kids. See, Matt said, laughing. I told you I'd be terrible. No, that was better. David said, You just need to practice. Let's try again. They practiced for a few minutes, and then the other kids asked them to join their game. David was on one team, and Matt was on the other. From the moment the game started, David was in his element. He dribbled past the other kids like they were standing still, passed the ball perfectly to his teammates, and scored a goal within the first 5 minutes. The other kids cheered, and David grinned from ear to ear. Matt, on the other hand, struggled. He kept losing the ball. He tripped over his own feet a few more times, and he even accidentally kicked the ball into his own team's goal. Oops. But even though he was bad at it, Matt was having fun. He laughed every time he messed up, and he kept trying, even when he felt like giving up. The game went on for about an hour, and David's team won by a landslide. David scored 3 goals, which is pretty normal for him. When the game ended, everyone was tired but happy. Matt was sweating, his hair was messy, and he had grass stains on his pants, but he was smiling. That was actually fun, he said to David, even though I was terrible. You weren't terrible, David said. You got better as the game went on, and you had fun, right? That's all that matters. Matt nodded. Yeah, I did. Thanks for inviting me, David. No problem, David said. We should do it again sometime. After saying goodbye to the other kids, David cleaned up his soccer ball and hurried home. He was so excited to tell his dad about the game and find out what the first lesson was. When he got home, Mr. Carter was in the backyard, picking tomatoes from the garden. Dad, Dad, David yelled, running over to him. I played soccer with Matt today. It was so fun. Mr. Carter turned around, smiling. Tell me all about it, buddy. How did it go? David rambled on and on about how he scored 3 goals, about how Matt struggled to kick the ball, about how Matt accidentally scored an own goal, and about how they both had a great time. He talked so fast that Mr. Carter had to ask him to slow down a few times. When David finally finished, Mr. Carter nodded and said, So what did you notice about Matt today? David thought for a minute. Well, he's really bad at soccer. He kept tripping and losing the ball, but he tried really hard, and he had fun even though he wasn't good at it. Exactly, Mr. Carter said. Now think about this. Matt is bad at soccer, but he's amazing at math. You're amazing at soccer, but you struggle with math. That's the first lesson. David, we're all different, and that's okay. Everyone has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. You don't have to be good at everything. Matt's strength is math, and your strength is soccer. That doesn't make either of you better than the other, it just makes you different. David's eyes widened. He'd never thought about it that way before. He always thought that because Matt was good at math, and he wasn't, Matt was better than him. But now he realized that he was good at something Matt wasn't, and that was okay. So I don't have to be good at math like Matt? He asked. No, you don't, Mr. Carter said. But that doesn't mean you can't get better at math if you want to. It just means that math isn't your superpower, not yet, anyway. But soccer is. And that's something to be proud of. How do you think you got so good at soccer? Because I practice every day, David said. I go to the field after school and I practice dribbling and kicking and everything else. Exactly, Mr. Carter said. You put in the work, and that's why you're good at it. Matt is good at math because he practices it too even if he doesn't realize he's doing it. Which brings me to your second challenge. David leaned in, eager to hear more. What's the second challenge, Dad? Tomorrow at school, I want you to watch Matt closely, Mr. Carter said. Pay attention to how often he does things related to math. Does he count things? Does he solve math problems during recess? Does he talk about numbers? Write down everything you see. That's your second challenge. Okay, Dad, David said. I'll watch him all day. I won't miss a thing. That night, David couldn't wait for school the next day. He even set his alarm 10 minutes early, so he could get to school before Matt and be ready to watch him. When he got to school, Matt was already there, sitting at his desk, working on something. David snuck over and looked. Matt was solving a math puzzle in his notebook. Hey, Matt, David said. What are you doing? Oh, just a math puzzle, Matt said, looking up. My mom gave it to me. It's fun. David was surprised. Fun? Math puzzles are fun. Yeah, Matt said. They're like games. You have to figure out the pattern or the answer. And it feels good when you get it right. Want to try one? David hesitated. Math wasn't fun for him. But he wanted to see what Matt saw in it. Sure, he said. Matt showed him the puzzle. 2, 4, 6, 8. David thought for a minute. 10, he asked. Yes, Matt said, grinning. See? That was easy. Want another one? David nodded, and they spent the next few minutes solving math puzzles together. David was surprised actually had a little fun. Maybe math wasn't as bad as he thought. Throughout the day, David watched Matt closely, just like his dad told him to. He took notes in his notebook, even though it was math class, and he was supposed to be taking notes on the lesson. Here's what he wrote down. 9 a.m. Matt counted the number of pencils on his desk, 12 pencils. 10:00 a.m. Recess. Matt helped the teacher count the number of kids on the playground, 28 kids. He even calculated how many kids were playing on the swings versus the slide, 15 on swings, 13 on slide. 11:30 a.m. Lunch. Matt counted the number of French fries on his plate, 24 fries. He even shared them with David and said, if we split them evenly, we each get 12 fries. 1:00 p.m. Science class. The teacher asked how many leaves were on the plant on her desk. Matt counted them, 17 leaves, and even said, if each leaf has 5 veins, that's 85 veins total. 2:30 p.m. Art class. Matt counted the number of petals on the flower he was drawing, 6 petals. He said, if I draw 3 flowers, that's 18 petals total. By the end of the day, David's notebook was full of notes about all the math-related things Matt did. He couldn't believe it. Matt was doing math all day, and he didn't even realize it. It was like second nature to him. After school, David went to the soccer field for a quick game, but he couldn't stop thinking about Matt. He kept replaying all the things he'd seen Matt do, counting pencils, solving puzzles, calculating French fries. It made him realize that Matt wasn't good at math by accident. He practiced it every single day, even if it was just counting things or solving puzzles for fun. When David got home, Mr. Carter was waiting for him in the backyard. How was school today, buddy? He asked. Did you watch Matt? Yes, Dad, David said, pulling out his notebook. I wrote down everything he did. He counted pencils. He counted kids at recess. He counted French fries. He even counted the petals on a flower. He was doing math all day, and he didn't even know it. It was like breathing to him. Mr. Carter smiled. That's the second lesson, David. Matt is good at math because he loves it, and he practices it every single day even if it's not formal studying. He doesn't see math as a chore. He sees it as a game or a challenge, and that's why he's so good at it. You're good at soccer because you love it, and you practice it every day. It's the same with anything in life. If you want to get better at something, you have to practice consistently. And it doesn't have to be hard. You can start with small things, like counting petals on a flower or solving a simple math puzzle. Over time, those small practices add up, and you get better. David thought about it. He realized that he'd gotten good at soccer by practicing every day small, consistent practices. He didn't just wake up one day and be able to score 3 goals in a game. He practiced dribbling every afternoon. He kicked the ball against the goalpost until his legs hurt, and he never gave up. So why couldn't he do the same with math? So if I practice math every day, even a little bit, I can get better? He asked. Absolutely, Mr. Carter said. But there's one more thing you need to learn. Which brings me to your third and final challenge. David's eyes lit up. He was ready for the final challenge. He felt like he was already learning so much, and he couldn't wait to see what the last lesson was. What's the final challenge, Dad? Mr. Carter sat down on the bench and patted the spot next to him. David sat down and Mr. Carter said, First, I want you to think about how much better Matt is at math than you are. Be honest. How much better do you think he is? David thought for a minute. He didn't want to admit that Matt was better than him, but he knew he had to be honest. I think Matt is about 3 times better at math than I am, he said, hesitantly. Okay, Mr. Carter said. So here's your final challenge. Tomorrow, I want you to study math 3 times harder than you normally do. If you usually study math for 30 minutes after school, study for 90 minutes. If you usually do 10 math problems, do 30. I want you to give it your all. That's the final challenge. David's stomach dropped. 3 times harder? He already struggled to study math for 30 minutes. How was he going to study for 90 minutes? But he didn't want to let his dad down. He nodded and said, Okay, Dad, I'll do it. I'll study 3 times harder tomorrow. Mr. Carter smiled and patted his shoulder. I know you can do it, buddy. Just remember to give up, even if it's hard. That night, David felt nervous. He kept thinking about the final challenge. He knew it was going to be hard, but he was determined to do it. He even set out his math textbook and notebook on the kitchen table, so he'd be ready to study as soon as he got home from school the next day. The next day, David went to school with a determined look on his face. He paid extra attention in math class, taking notes and asking the teacher questions when he didn't understand something. He even did his math homework during recess, so he'd have more time to study after school. When school ended, David hurried home, grabbed a snack, and sat down at the kitchen table to study. He usually studied math for 30 minutes, so 3 times harder would be 90 minutes. He opened his textbook, flipped to the chapter they were studying, and started working on math problems. The first 30 minutes were okay. He solved a few problems and even got some of them right. But by the 45-minute mark, his head started to hurt. His eyes felt tired, and he couldn't focus on the numbers anymore. He kept reading the same problem over and over, but he couldn't figure out the answer. Just a little longer, he told himself. You can do this. He pushed through, solving a few more problems, but by the 60-minute mark, he was exhausted. His head was throbbing, and he felt like he was going to fall asleep. He tried to drink some water to wake up, but it didn't help. He kept working, but his eyes started to close, and before he knew it, he was fast asleep, his head resting on the kitchen table. A few hours later, Mr. Carter came home from work. He walked into the kitchen and saw David asleep at the table, his head on his math textbook. He smiled softly and gently tapped David on the shoulder. Wake up, buddy, he said. Dinner's ready. We'll finish studying later. David woke up, rubbing his eyes. He looked at the clock and realized he'd slept for over an hour. He felt terrible hadn't completed the challenge. He looked up at his dad, his head hanging low. I'm sorry, Dad, he said, his voice quiet. I tried. I studied for an hour, but my head hurt so bad and I fell asleep. I didn't finish the challenge. I let you down. Mr. Carter knelt down in front of David and put his hands on his shoulders. You didn't let me down, buddy, he said gently. In fact, you did exactly what I wanted you to do. You tried your best, and you learned the 3rd lesson. David looked up, confused. What's the 3rd lesson, Dad? I didn't finish the challenge. The 3rd lesson is this, Mr. Carter said. It's hard to stay dedicated to something you don't enjoy. You can push yourself, you can try your best, but if you don't love what you're doing, it's going to feel like a chore. It's going to be hard to stay consistent, and you're going to burn out. But when you do something you love, like playing soccer, dedication and consistency feel easy. You don't have to force yourself to practice soccer every day. You want to. It's fun, it's rewarding, and it doesn't feel like work. David nodded. He understood now. He tried to study math 3 times harder, but because he didn't enjoy it, it felt impossible. He didn't look forward to studying math. He dreaded it. But when he played soccer, he couldn't wait to get out on the field. He looked forward to it every day. And even when he was tired, he kept playing because he loved it. "So what does that mean, Dad?" he asked. "Does that mean I'll never be good at math?" "No, that's not what it means," Mr. Carter said. "It means that if you want to get better at math, you have 2 choices. First, you can learn to love math, find ways to make it fun, like Matt does. Solve math puzzles, play math games, count things you enjoy. Make it something you look forward to, not something you dread. Second, you can focus on your strengths and become the best you can be at that. There's no rule that says you have to be good at everything. The most successful people in the world are the ones who found their strengths and focused on them. They didn't waste time trying to be good at things they didn't enjoy. They embraced their talents and worked hard to make them even better." David thought about it for a minute. He realized that he didn't have to be good at math to be successful. He loved soccer and he was good at it. Maybe he could focus on soccer and become the best soccer player he could be. But he also realized that he didn't have to give up on math entirely. Maybe he could find ways to make it fun, like Matt did. Maybe he could start with small things, counting the number of soccer balls on the field, calculating how many goals he scored in a game, and slowly learn to enjoy it. "I think I understand now, Dad," David said, smiling. "I don't have to be good at math like Matt. I can focus on soccer, and if I want to get better at math, I can try to make it fun. And I know that no matter what, I have my own strengths, and that's okay." Mr. Carter hugged David tight. "That's my boy," he said. "I'm so proud of you. These 3 lessons are going to help you so much in life. Remember them. We're all different, and that's okay. Practice makes perfect, especially when you love what you're doing. And dedication is easy when you're doing something you enjoy." David nodded. He promised himself that he would remember these lessons forever. He would stop comparing himself to Matt, and he would embrace his own strengths. He would keep practicing soccer, and he would try to make math fun, one small step at a time. Now, guys, let's take a minute to talk about the English words and phrases we learned in the story, because remember, this channel is all about learning English while having fun. Let's go over some of the key words and how to use them in everyday sentences. First up, strengths. Strengths are the things you're good at. For example, my strength is playing soccer, or her strength is math. You can also say, I need to focus on my strengths. That's a great phrase to use when you're talking about what you're good at. Next, dedication. Dedication means putting in the time and effort to do something, even when it's hard. For example, David's dedication to soccer made him a great player. Or, you need dedication to get better at anything. Another way to use it. Her dedication to her studies helped her get good grades. Then, consistently. Consistently means doing something regularly, not just once in a while. For example, David practiced soccer consistently every afternoon. Or, if you study consistently, you'll get better at English. That's a super useful word way. Use it all the time in everyday conversation. Another word, struggle. Struggle means to have a hard time doing something. For example, David struggled with math. Or, I struggle to wake up early in the morning. You can also say, she's struggling with her homework. And finally, embrace. Embrace means to accept and celebrate something. For example, David learned to embrace his strengths. Or, I embrace my differences. It's a beautiful word that means to be proud of who you are. Let's practice using these words in sentences together. Let's start with strengths. Can you say, my strength is underscore 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 underscore? Fill in the blank with something you're good at. Maybe my strength is drawing, or my strength is singing. Good job. Now dedication. I show dedication by underscore underscore. For example, I show dedication by practicing English every day. Perfect. Consistently. I underscore 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 consistently. Maybe I read consistently every night. Great. Struggle. I struggle with underscore underscore underscore. For example, I struggle with speaking English. That's okay, we all struggle with something. And embrace. I embrace underscore 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 underscore. Maybe I embrace my uniqueness. Awesome. Guys, learning English is all about practice, just like David learned with soccer. You don't have to be perfect right away. You just have to practice consistently. And over time, you'll get better. And remember, it's okay to struggle. Everyone struggles with something, even native English speakers. The key is to keep trying and to make it fun. Just like Matt made math fun by solving puzzles, you can make English fun by watching stories like this, listening to music, or talking to friends. Now let's talk a little more about the lessons from the story, because they're so important. We live in a world that's full of comparison: social media, school, work. Everywhere we look, we're comparing ourselves to others. We see someone who's good at something we're not, and we feel like we're not good enough. But the truth is, everyone has their own strengths. You might be good at art, while someone else is good at sports. You might be good at writing, while someone else is good at math. That's not a bad thing. That's what makes the world interesting. I want to share a real-life example with you. Have you ever heard of Michael Jordan? He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But did you know that he was cut from his high school basketball team? He was told he wasn't good enough. But instead of giving up, he practiced even harder. He dedicated himself to basketball. And he became one of the best players in history. His strength was basketball, and he embraced it. He didn't waste time trying to be good at other sports. He focused on his strength. And he became amazing. Another example, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She was a single mom, living in poverty. When she wrote the first Harry Potter book, she was rejected by 12 publishers before someone finally said yes. But she didn't give up. Her strength was writing, and she dedicated herself to it. Now, she's one of the most successful authors in the world. These people didn't become successful because they were good at everything. They became successful because they found their strengths, embraced them, and dedicated themselves to them. That's the same lesson David learned. He didn't have to be good at math to be successful, just had to be the best version of himself. Now let's talk a little more about the lessons from the story, because they're so important. We live in a world that's full of comparison: social media, school, work. Everywhere we look, we're comparing ourselves to others. We see someone who's good at something we're not, and we feel like we're not good enough. But the truth is, everyone has their own strengths. You might be good at art, while someone else is good at sports. You might be good at writing, while someone else is good at math. That's not a bad thing. That's what makes the world interesting. I want to share a real-life example with you. Have you ever heard of Michael Jordan? He's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But did you know that he was cut from his high school basketball team? He was told he wasn't good enough. But instead of giving up, he practiced even harder. He dedicated himself to basketball. And he became one of the best players in history. His strength was basketball, and he embraced it. He didn't waste time trying to be good at other sports. He focused on his strength. And he became amazing. Another example, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter. She was a single mom, living in poverty. When she wrote the first Harry Potter book, she was rejected by 12 publishers before someone finally said yes. But she didn't give up. Her strength was writing, and she dedicated herself to it. Now, she's one of the most successful authors in the world. These people didn't become successful because they were good at everything. They became successful because they found their strengths, embraced them, and dedicated themselves to them. That's the same lesson David learned. He didn't have to be good at math to be successful, just had to be the best version of himself. Now let's think about a new assumption. What if David had given up on soccer because he wasn't good at math? What if he'd stopped practicing soccer and spent all his time trying to be good at math, even though he hated it? Do you think he would have been happy? Do you think he would have been successful? Probably not. He would have been miserable, and he would have given up on both math and soccer. But instead, he embraced his strength, soccer, and decided to make math fun if he wanted to get better at it. That's the key: finding balance between improving your weaknesses and nurturing your strengths. Another assumption. What if Matt had given up on math because he wasn't good at soccer? He would have missed out on something he loved, and he would have been unhappy. But instead, he embraced his strength, math, and had fun with it. He didn't let his weakness, soccer, define him. The point is, we all have strengths and weaknesses. It's okay to have weaknesses. They don't make you a bad person. What matters is how you handle them. You can either let them bring you down, or you can use them as motivation to get better, if you want to, while still embracing your strengths. Guys, I hope this story resonated with you. I hope it made you think about your own strengths and how you can embrace them. I hope it also made you realize that practice and dedication are key to success no matter what you're trying to do. And I hope you learned some new English words that you can start using tomorrow. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, what's your strength? What's something you struggle with? And how do you practice consistently to get better at something you love? I read every comment, and I can't wait to hear your stories. Also, if you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. Sharing is caring, and it helps this channel grow so we can bring you more fun stories and English lessons. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a video. Remember, learning English is fun when you practice regularly. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to keep trying. And remember, you have your own strengths, and that's something to be proud of. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I had so much fun sharing the story with you. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll have another fun story and more English words to learn. Until then, keep practicing, keep smiling, and keep embracing your strengths. Bye for now.